Hey, welcome to Life in the Leadership Lane. I'm your host, Bruce Waller, where I get to talk to leaders that are making a difference in the workplace and in our communities. What did they do to get started? And what are they doing to stay there? And oh my goodness, are you in for a treat? We are kicking off season 7. That's right, season 7 here, 2026. And I'm bringing you an incredible guest as I get to talk to Brandon McCormick today. Brandon is he's a partner and advisor with Prime Capital. He's also the 2026 president for Dallas HR. And Brandon, so good to have you on the show. How you doing, man?
Hey, doing good, Bruce. Really appreciate the invite and looking forward to our time today.
Man, I always like to start the show reflecting on when we met, of course. So with you, Dallas HR, you were installed as the Dallas HR president for 2026. I know what that's like. I was 2012 is when I was the president. And I remember 2011 going into it, you're just like, you're kind of like, okay, I'm serving where I can, but until it happens, you just don't know. And now all of a sudden you become president. What's it feel like?
Yeah, it's exciting. I'm really looking forward to the year ahead. I did the same thing last year. Tried to soak up as much as I can. We've got some great past leaders, you included, and the opportunity to get to pick their brains, kind of find out what am I walking into, what to expect. But Dallas HR is such a great organization. We've got so many great volunteer leaders, a great staff. Man, I'm just excited for what the year is going to bring.
Yeah, of course, you served last year under the great Tommy Morris. I got to have her on the show as well. And then I think Kelly Behringer's coming up. So you're just surrounded by just such great leaders. And of course, an incredible operations board. You got your new conference director this year with Paige. She's also, so many of the Dallas HR leaders have been on the podcast. And so now it's an honor to have you on the show and to get to know you a little bit more. And so I'm excited about this next 30 to 40 minutes talking with you. Hey, before we get started, I always like to ask my guests if they want to share a brief highlight of their organization. And for you, you work for Prime Capital. Talk a little bit about Prime Capital and how do you serve your customers?
Yeah, that's great. Prime Capital Financial, we're a independent registered investment advisor, a full service wealth management financial planning firm. I actually have a focus working with companies on their employee benefit plans, specifically retirement plans, such as like a 401k plan.
Mhm.
And so, I'm responsible here in the North Texas market for growing our retirement plan business, working with small to medium-sized companies. That includes helping companies to set up and design a retirement plan, vendor selection, investment management, and
Mhm.
really what I think is most important is financial wellness. So
Mm.
actually kind of boots on the ground, meeting with their employees, helping to ensure they understand the retirement plan, making sure that they're on track for retirement. We've done a lot of studies, and there's other studies by national firms out there that really show what the impact of financial stress can be on the workplace. Not only is it impacting employees' daily lives, but it
Mhm.
can impact the company's bottom line. And so, really making sure that you have employees that aren't financially stressed really can help boost productivity in the workplace.
Yeah. And we're going to talk more about that because I do want to get into that, especially when you talk about financial wellness. I know you and I had lunch not too long ago and we talked about financial wellness and your passion for that. You also mentioned that your group might be having an opportunity or some type of conference coming up here in the next few weeks. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, so we host what we call our Qualified Plan Fiduciary Summit. We bring in, a pretty great lineup of speakers, industry experts, really focused on what's top of mind for companies and their retirement plans. We're lucky enough this year we're going to have it in Plano. It's April 27th
Mm.
through 29th. We just announced our keynote speaker is going to be Tony Bridwell. So for
Mm.
all of my fellow Dallas HR members here in the Metroplex, very familiar with hearing Tony speaks. We're really looking forward to it. You can find more information at our website, primefinancial.com. There's a link where you can sign up. So encourage you if you work with retirement plans, it's a valuable 2 days. You're going to get a lot of information out of it.
That's good stuff. And we all know Tony Bridwell. He does so much for the Dallas HR community. Phenomenal leader, author, keynote speaker, and of course, CMC's our conference every year. So I'm sure everybody's going to really enjoy that. I wrote down, yeah, April 27th through the 29th in Plano. I'll put the link in the show notes. So if you want to learn more about that, sounds like a great event. Hey, I want people to get to know you, Brandon. Share the Brandon McCormick story. Like, where did you grow up, and how in the world did you get into leadership and all things finance?
Yeah, that's a great question. I grew up in Fort Worth, lived in the DFW area my whole life. Other than I went to Baylor for college. Like many people, I really had no idea what I wanted to do. My senior year, got connected with a internship program at Northwestern Mutual in the Fort Worth office. That was kind of the what opened the door to financial services. I realized, that wasn't my career path. But kind of started looking at what other opportunities are out there. It's a wide-ranging industry.
Mhm.
Luckily, got connected with Fidelity Investments. They have a large campus here in DFW, and interviewed for a couple different positions. Ultimately, took a role in their retirement plan sales group, which is kind of what led me down to the path of where I'm at today. They have a really great training program. Learned a lot navigating kind of the corporate world, learning the industry. Had some leadership roles while I was there, and so I really owe a lot to the time I spent there.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Isn't it amazing though? When we go to college, I remember when I was going to college, I was going to be I would just follow my brother. He had a degree in management. I was like, oh, I'll get a degree in management. And little did I know I was going to have a career in relocation. Never heard of relocation. Never even thought about HR or the HR community. And today here we are serving, that particular group. Uh, I always like to ask. I wrote the book Find Your Lane, and that's really about like finding your calling on your journey. Was there like, okay, you mentioned, okay, yeah, I went to Baylor, then I did this internship, and then I kind of found, my path. Was there a moment though when you're like, you know what, I think this right here is what I really enjoy doing? Like, was there a moment, or were there like moments led up to that?
Yeah, I don't think there's one moment in particular. It's just little moments that have built up to where I'm at now that I really enjoy the firm I work for. I enjoy what I get to do day to day. I mentioned financial wellness. I think
Mm-hmm.
for me, that's probably one of the most enjoyable parts of our business, what our firm does. Get an opportunity to go on site to a client's office, sit down and meet with employees one on one.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's got a different path in life, really helping them to find out. Sometimes they don't even know what their goals are, and really helping them to work through that. I really enjoy that.
I want to stop here just for a second. I want to talk about this financial wellness. And I gave you a bunch of questions, but I'm kind of in that stage of I'm always checking to make sure that, hey, I'm where I need to be. And it's always so challenging. You're like, hey, here I am. I'm in my 50s. How do I know how much I need or how much I'm saving, or talk a little bit about that? I mean, there's probably some people right now that are listening to the show that I don't know, maybe they manage programs, or maybe they are also in the same place I'm in where they're like, I'm just not sure. I can go on and I can type in Chat GPT and give the information or whatever the case may be. But talk a little bit about, like, I don't know, maybe some tips or some things that people might think about to know, like, hey, you need to, like, either A, you need to be talking to somebody like me, like you, Brandon, or B, hey, here's some things that kind of help you kind of show that, hey, your temperature's good. All of these different things are in line, so you're in good shape. Any thoughts around that?
Yeah, everyone's situation is unique.
Yeah.
You can, like you mentioned, Chat GPT, or you find all these studies online. You should
Yeah.
have X amount of dollars by this age, or you scroll social media and you're supposed to be a millionaire in your 30s. And that's in reality, that's not what happens.
Right.
I sit down and I tell people, like, let's figure out where you're at right now,
Mm-hmm.
and work towards, what are your goals? Because some people want to travel in retirement. Some people are going to want to spend time with their family or grandkids. Maybe they're going to downsize, and so what that looks like and what that in goal dollar amount is going to be is
Mm-hmm.
going to be different for everyone. But then we kind of build a roadmap from where you're at, what those goals are, where you're at today.
Yeah.
And what I tell people is, yes, there are check marks you need to look at, how much you should be saving for retirement. We tell people you want to save 15 to 20% for retirement. You can't do that on day one,
Mm.
but if you make little steps, throughout the year or year over year, where you start reaching to those goals, you're going to get to retirement at age 65, and you're going to find, hey, I kept reaching for more. I kept doing the right things. I didn't let, interruptions that happen in life derail my plans. Things are going to happen. You're going to have a car breakdown. You're going to have something wrong with the house. All these things are going to happen throughout life, but adjusting your plan and just continue to move forward. That's all you can control.
Hmm. I like that a lot, and I'm glad you shared that. You mentioned, hey, start here, like start with your goals, which I like that a lot. And a lot of times we don't really know what our goals are, but we just need to write something down, something we're kind of thinking about. But what you said was this, and I relate to this. You said you don't start at 20% on day one. And I remember when I first got into a 401k plan, I put in the minimum. And then, years later, I put in an extra percent and then an extra percent. And I've built up over years. And so a lot of times we think, hey, we got to do it all now, but you really don't. It's about small steps, isn't it?
Yep, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Just taking small steps, and increasing how much you save, little by little, and it adds up.
You know, uh, I'll just be transparent. I have had different people reach out to me and they want to talk to me about my financial wellness, and I don't know them. I don't know them. I'm like, I don't know if I want to give you my information. Uh, I'm just curious, and I just kind of was thinking about that because I looked at this word, or I wrote down roadmap, how you can build a roadmap. I'm like, I want to know what that roadmap is. How do you how do you build trust in, for people to share the information that they share? Because a lot of it, I mean, it's proprietary information, or it's very personal information, or goals can be very personal. I'm just curious for you as a business leader in your sector. I don't know, how do you build trust?
That's a great question. I mean, the conversations I'm having with my clients or with participants in a 401k plan, I mean,
Mm,
that's a lot of personal information, and it can be something, you might not want to share that with just anyone. And so really it starts with building that relationship. And
mm,
so I want to get to know them, and they're going to want to get to know me. And understanding that, hey, I'm putting your best interest ahead of my self-interest, and getting them to understand that. Really at the end of the day, I want to get to know you as a person before I can begin to work with you on establishing your goals and building out that plan for you. And so those first couple meetings, it's really just for each of us to get to know each other better.
hmm. Yeah, I'm curious. So you talked about setting goals, and so that's I'm assuming that's ongoing. Like once you start working with someone and with an organization, and you're like, hey, let's start setting some goals, and then you're always like, when I think about financial wellness, I always think about that's got to be like ongoing. You probably stay with a client for a long time, don't you?
Yeah, no, the goals are always changing, and there's little goals along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm sitting down with a plan participant, and they're really struggling with paying down debt.
Yeah.
And we sit down, we figure out how to take care of that. A year or two later, they've paid off their debt, and now they want to start saving for, maybe kids' college expenses or retirement. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's the new goal. And
Yeah.
then, the ultimate goal is obviously getting to a place where you can retire and retire well and enjoy that phase of your life. But yeah, the goals are ever changing.
Hey, I want to ask you a question real quick. In our different industries, I was just sitting here thinking about this, thinking, when I think about like the financial markets, I think about the graphs. They're up and down. They're up and down. How do you stay even keel in that? Like, I gotta think that's pretty volatile market. And so for me, I don't like to take a lot of risk. I'm not a risk taker, right? And so for me, I was like, oh my goodness, how do you? I guess the question I want to ask you is, how do you stay composed in a like a volatile type industry or market where money's going up and down, up and down, up and down, and how do you help people? I don't know. Reduce the stress of having all that. Any thoughts around that?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. If you turn on any of the major news networks, you'll see the tickers and what did the S&P
Mm,
500 do today? What did the Dow do today? You get on social media and just the news is constantly flowing. And so it's easy to get lost in the noise.
mm-hmm.
Part of that kind of relationship building with clients is getting them to understand what their risk tolerance is. Like you
Mm,
said, you're not a risk taker, you're not aggressive.
yeah.
We're not going to create a portfolio that's gonna try to outpace the market for someone like you. We're gonna figure out what are you comfortable with, and then we're gonna design a portfolio based off that. Because what we don't want to do is you to see the headline news, you get scared, you pull the plug, and all of a sudden you're making these emotional decisions.
Mm,
In working with an advisor, or if you're someone that's saving in a retirement plan through your workplace and you have access to a firm like ours,
yeah.
having a professional there that can help you kind of talk yourself off the cliff and
Mm,
really helps take some of that emotion out of it is really beneficial.
yeah. Yeah. That's good. I like that. Are you, I'm curious, like risk tolerance, you have a high risk tolerance?
I don't either. I would consider myself more growth oriented.
Okay.
Really, that's just given my age and time
Yeah.
frame for retirement. But I'm not out there looking for home runs.
I love that. This is so good. I guarantee I have 100 questions I could ask you right now. I feel like I'm getting some great coaching. Hey, I do want to we talked earlier about the importance of building relationships in your job. And today you're serving as the Dallas HR president. And I'm very excited about your year ahead, by the way. Talk a little bit about Dallas HR, your journey. What I don't know, what motivated you to want to get involved in Dallas HR? Now here you are leading the third largest SHRM chapter in the country. What motivated you to get involved, and how have you been able to kind of build those relationships? And talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, gosh, the first, you talk about building relationships. I was looking for opportunities to network, kind of to grow my network,
Mm-hmm.
and so I heard about Dallas HR. I went to an event at their office, one of their, monthly networking events. And, I went for probably a year or so, kind of off and on,
Yeah.
and made some good connections and really just I liked the organization, and really decided, hey, you know what, this is something I want to get more involved with. And
Mm.
so I just signed up to volunteer on a committee.
Mm.
I got involved, and it's just kind of led from there to now where I'm at as president, for this year.
Yeah. Yeah, it's exciting. Isn't it funny though? Like I can remember like those very first few events that I went to. I'm like, I don't know anybody. I'm trying to like find my lane here. I'm trying to figure this out. Like how can I, make impact here? And then all of a sudden you blink and you're leading the organization. It's pretty exciting. Talk a little bit about what's ahead for Dallas HR. I know that you've got a great board in place. We talked a little bit about offline about you just had your operations board meeting. A lot of people call it your volunteer leader kind of conference to kind of kick off the year. What exciting things ahead do you have going on?
Yeah, I'm really excited about the board that we have this year. We've got just the members on our operations board are so engaged. They're so committed to growing the organization. We've got some great events. Our education, lunches, the HR Southwest Conference, just the value we provide to HR professionals here in DFW is second to none. And I'm really excited to see the organization continue to grow. We've got some lofty goals.
Hmm.
We're always wanting to increase membership. Year over year, have attendance at the conference to just continue to grow and hopefully have record-setting years. But honestly, just the value and the content and what we provide to the HR community is, I want to make sure that we're the go-to place when anyone has a question or is looking to learn and grow in the HR profession.
And of course, I'll put the link in the show notes and you can find out more about Dallas HR as well. I knew that whenever you would start talking about what's ahead, the word goals would come out because we've talked about goals. It's so good. You also have what I call the HR event of the year. You have your HR Stars Gala coming up. Talk a little bit about that coming up at the end of February. I know that's a huge event.
Yeah, so each year we get together to recognize HR professionals and HR teams in the DFW area. It's a great evening, dinner, dancing, drinks, awards, but it's a great time for us to recognize our peers in the industry, and just it's a fun time of fellowship and gathering.
What I've enjoyed about that is that you mentioned earlier, I wrote down the word start small, and when we're talking about goals. And in 2012, we decided to have our very first HR Executive of the Year for Dallas HR. Julie Hoagland, by the way, won that award. And so each year at the end of the year, December, we would have our HR Executive of the Year, and then we would have, our volunteer leaders of the year for the conference and the board. But then Dustin Pascal came in and he took that idea and he really just like boosted it into the what's known today as HR Stars, the gala. He said, "Hey, instead of just having a few awards, let's have a lot of awards and let's just make it a night, a shining night for the HR community." And it's really cool. And so as I share that, I think about, some of the things that you're doing today are probably going to be similar. You're going to like take something that we've done and then really make it into, something bigger ahead. And so I'm excited about that for you.
Yeah, no, I am too. It'll be a fun night. Definitely encouraged to get your tickets and join us.
Yeah, I'll put the link in the show notes for people who can buy the tickets because that I think it's sold out before, and so you want to be sure and get your tickets to that. Hey, I'm just curious, like what drives you?
I want to be successful, both
Hmm.
professionally and personally.
Yeah.
And so I think everyone can say, oh, I grew my business X amount year over year. And there's
Hmm.
goals you want to have. But, I want the relationships I built, the trust I have with family and friends, and just, I don't know how to pinpoint what success is
Hmm.
and when you achieve that.
Hmm.
But just continuing to move forward, continuing to grow personally and professionally.
Yeah.
That's what drives me.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Hey, you mentioned success. It is very hard to define that. But when you look at Dallas HR, like here you are, you're president. And this is funny. I was just sharing this with Tommy not too long ago. You become the Dallas HR president. In really any association, you become a president, and then halfway into it, if you're a 1 year term, halfway into it, you're okay. And now I'm starting to figure it out, but now everybody's trying to figure out who's the next one. So it goes by very, very fast. If you were to look at we're recording in January. If you were to, we had a conversation in December and say, hey, what were the things that really made Dallas HR successful for 2026? I don't know. Are there a couple of things that you might kind of point to that you're hoping to achieve this year?
One thing we started to see last year is just the engagement we're having with our members, whether
Yeah.
that attendance at our education lunches, networking events. I mean, people volunteering to be on committees. And it's really exciting to see that because we've got a community of engaged HR professionals. And so I think just seeing that trend continue is something that I'm looking forward to. Expanding Dallas HR to HR professionals in the Metroplex that haven't heard of us or don't realize what we have to offer. And just again, like I said earlier, just being the go-to resource for for our industry.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Hey, well, let me ask you this. For those who are listening right now and they're like, "Hey, I've been to a Dallas HR meeting. It's been a while or I've thought about going to a meeting." I don't know. Give somebody some, I don't know, some inspiration on why they need to be part of Dallas HR in 2026.
Yeah, I would say first, just show up, go. It can be intimidating. We talked about it earlier. I remember going to my
Hmm.
first,
Yeah.
first event, not knowing anyone, and
Yeah.
it's always it can be awkward. We've got such a great, just a great membership base, great volunteers on our ambassador committee that just kind of welcome everyone. Want to make sure that you have a friendly face when you walk into that first meeting. But it's an organization for you as an HR professional to grow, not only grow your career to learn, but to build relationships.
Hmm.
And I think that's the biggest thing is just the relationships and the way you're going to grow your network through Dallas HR.
Yeah, I had a friend one time tell me, he's like, "Hey, you need to have at least five people outside the workplace to you can talk to about your work. You just need to have a network." And so that's what Dallas HR really does is it provides you with a platform where people come together, a community more than anything, and allows you to build those relationships. So I just love that. I'm excited about your year ahead. It's going to be so good. You got some incredible people around you as well, and I just love that. Hey, I want to also mention that you mentioned the HR Southwest Conference. That's also powered by Dallas HR. It's usually in the fall, but I think the applications for people to get involved in that conference are usually happening in middle of February. So people want to be sure and look out for that as well, right?
Yeah, we'll open the portal to apply to be a speaker. We get, gosh, the amount of just talented speakers that apply each year, it's crazy. We get some of the best of the best, and I mean, it's 3 days jam-packed of educational content. So if you're someone that wants to look at speaking or get involved, be on the lookout. That will open up here pretty soon.
Yep, and sponsors as well. And so again, I'll put the information on the show note in the show notes, and you can be sure and check that out, or you can connect with Brandon, and he can give you your information. Hey, before we go to Selling to Accelerate, I always like to give my guests an opportunity to share some advice. Maybe it's some advice they were given early in their career or mid-career. Maybe it's some advice you were giving that you would like to give around your volunteering. But share some advice. I don't know. It's just so good. You just find yourself sharing that with others.
Yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily one piece of advice. It's more just things I've learned along the way.
Mm.
One thing is showing up,
Oh,
do what you say you're gonna do. From a volunteering standpoint, getting involved, and not just signing up for a committee and going to a meeting here or there, like actually being involved, being a part of the organization. And so really, I think your actions are going to speak louder
mhm.
than your words.
I love that.
And the other thing is, don't be afraid to admit when you don't know something or when
Mm.
you're wrong.
Mm.
You can always you can learn from your mistakes. But just I think just it takes a lot to say, hey, I don't know the answer to that. Let me find out. And I would say this last year, as I got ready for my year as president here at Dallas HR, I had to say that a lot. I'm sure I'll say it this year as well too.
I wrote down show up, get involved, and it's okay not to know. And
Yep.
that is just absolutely gold. I appreciate you sharing that, Brandon. Hey, I'm going to move to It's Time to Accelerate. This has been a lot of fun. Time goes by super fast. First question I want to know is any financial predictions for 2026? I mean, I thought I got Brandon on the show. I'm going to what's the crystal ball look like for you? Any thoughts around that?
Yeah, I get this question quite a bit. We're coming off 3 years of, double-digit returns. This year is shaping up it could be a good return year again for the markets. There's also a lot of headwinds, uncertainty around tariffs, interest rates.
Mm.
It's an interesting economy. There's so much out there. There's geopolitical risk. But there's also some positives that I think we could have another good year. Biggest thing I would say is if you don't know what your risk tolerance is, you don't know what your appetite is, figure that out. Have a have a path, have a plan, and just plan to stick to it.
And if you don't have a plan, call Brandon. He can at least give you some guidance or a roadmap and maybe help you set some goals along the way. This is so good. Hey, I always talk about, people that come onto the show, they just seem to be continuous learners. And so I want to just kind of throw this out there, all the things that you've learned in your career. What's something you've always wanted to learn?
Gosh, I don't know if there's something I've always wanted to learn. Professionally, I like to continue to grow, whether that's, you know, staying up to date with what's going on in the markets, or just professional designations. I got my CFP designation
Hmm.
last year. That was about an 18-month kind of self-study program. Really happy to accomplish that. Personally, I'm an avid golfer,
Hmm.
so continuing to get better at that. It's I enjoy it. It's also frustrating.
Hmm.
Um,
No kidding. Do you have a hole in one?
I have two.
Oh my goodness. Man, that's on my bucket list to get a hole in one, man. Oh my God. Okay, I want to just real quick. You said that you got a designation because I do want to touch on this because HR professionals get their designation, whether it's a PHRO, a PHR, SPHR, you got your CERM CP, SCPs, you got in mobility, you got your certifications in talent acquisition, all of these different groups, everybody has different certifications. I notice you have four certifications. And so how important and I just want to touch on this real quick. Certifications, like how important is that? You have your CFP, you have your AIF, you have your CRPS, and you have your CPFA. Two questions. Number one, how important is certification? Number two, is there one of these that are more important than the other?
Yeah, I think that the certifications, and I joke, I've got alphabet soup behind my name, but I think the certifications really show your commitment to your profession,
Mm,
that you want to learn and grow.
mm,
And I don't, there's, no matter what your profession is, there's probably a gold standard for each one. For me, the CFP, I feel like is one of the most widely known certifications in kind of the financial advisory space. It's one of the tougher ones to get. So for
hmm.
me, the fact that I went through the coursework and passed the test, I'm proud of it. I think it shows, a level of commitment, not only to my profession, but to my clients that I want to continue to grow and learn
Yeah.
and be able to provide the best advice to them.
I like that. I wrote an article years ago. It's funny. I was at a Dallas HR networking event and we were talking about the value of certification. I thought, well, I'm just going to go write an article on it. And the question we kept pondering, the article was around is if you had two people going to interview for a job, one had a certification, one didn't, would the one that had the certification get weight? And so we had a lot of different debate over that. But I think what you said, it shows your commitment to continuous learning and wanting to be part of whatever that is. And so I'm with you. I'm very proud of my CRP. That's for certified relocation professional, and of course PHR and SHRM CP. They were not easy certifications, but yet I worked through it, and when I got it, I was so proud of it, and that's why a lot of times we put those on our LinkedIn profiles or our business cards because we don't want like it was a journey to get there, and you're certainly proud of that, and so I love that. Hey, I want to ask you two more questions. One is talk about great leaders or grateful leaders. What are you grateful for, Brandon?
Yeah, there's a lot that I'm grateful for, both professionally and personally. I mean, within Dallas HR, we talked about the HR Stars Gala. I was volunteer leader of the year a few years ago, and
Mm,
just to be nominated and then to get the award meant a
mm,
lot to me. Being elected president of this year to help lead the organization, I'm really honored by that. But I think just the relationships I built, both professionally and personally throughout my career, I'm most grateful for that.
yeah, that's awesome. That's always the best part. I tell people all the time, it's all about the people. It will always be about the people. And that's always the best part. Okay, here's my last question. Brandon, 10 years older, is around the corner and he's knocking at your door. You're going to get up and go answer that door. What's he going to tell you?
You know, just to keep moving forward.
Mm,
Trust the process. You can only control what you can control. It's easy to get down on yourself or, to look at the bad things that have happened and you
mm,
kind of forget all the good things. And if you look back, you realize how far you've come.
hmm.
And so I think that's the biggest thing is just keep moving forward. Do what you can do, control what you control.
Keep moving forward. That's a wise 10 years older Brandon McCormick. Hey, Brandon, I appreciate you coming on the show today. Hey, for those who, I don't know, they got to know you a little bit more and learn some different things from you, and they want to connect with you, or they have some questions. I don't know. How's the best way for them to connect?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn. You can also find more about our firm and myself at our website, primefinancial.com, and or connect with me at a Dallas HR event coming up soon.
I love that. I love that idea. Connect with him at a Dallas HR event. Go over and say, "Hey, Brandon, I heard you on Life in the Leadership Lane podcast, and here's what you said that was impacting." I'll put a link to in the show notes to all the things that we've talked about today, so you can connect with Brandon. And I'm so excited about your road ahead. You're going to do great things. Dallas HR is an amazing organization, and I can't wait to share this with everybody. So thanks again for coming on the show.
Yeah, I really appreciate you having me. Enjoyed it.
Yeah. Hey, I'll talk to you later, man. Happy New
All
Year.
right, have a good one.